Si la película que está a punto de disfrutar lleva este holograma en su lomo, se trata de una copia original. De lo contrario, un pirata se aprovechó de su buena fe. Defienda su derecho a la calidad. Exija copias originales.
I'm Kirk Cameron, your host for the Secrets of the Back to the Future trilogy. In the next half hour, we'll take an inside look at the amazing trilogy of films that have carried Marty McFly and Doc Brown across the time barrier, spanning more than a century of adventure. We'll also answer some of the burning questions that Back to the Future fans all over the world have asked us. Whether it's about hoverboards, runaway trains, or mystery scenes, we'll answer your letters. And as you can see, we have plenty of letters to choose from.
Hey, fella! You Kirk Cameron?
Yes, sir.
This telegram just arrived for you.
For me?
That's right.
Oh, hey, it looks like our first question. Grady Cooper from Sioux City, Iowa writes,
Dear Back to the Future, when I saw Back to the Future Parts 2 and 3, I left the theater wishing I had a hoverboard. Then I saw an interview with the director saying they were real. The next day I went to all the toy stores and sporting good outlets and I could never find one. What's the deal?
Well, I'm sorry to break the news to you, Grady, but director Robert Zemeckis was only joking. Hoverboards have yet to be invented, but maybe someday. But if hoverboards don't actually exist, then how did the filmmakers make them look so realistic in the film? Well, it wasn't easy. Get him! By combining old movie tricks and modern technology, the filmmakers, with the help of a few fearless individuals,
Hey, how are you?
met the hoverboard challenge head-on. A lot of the hoverboarding that only showed Michael above the knees was achieved by having him ride an ordinary skateboard.
Son of a... It's been 5 years. I thought I'd been ready to do that.
Paths of plywood were laid over almost every inch of the town square to make it look like Michael was effortlessly gliding over rough terrain. Sometimes a platform dolly was used to give Michael and the other actors an even smoother ride. Director Robert Zemeckis had a special harness designed which allowed the actors to fly from an intricate series of wires supported by an industrial crane.
You know, what we got to do is we got to get another crane, and we can hang your phone here.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, some very creative camera rigs, all to create the illusion of flight.
The film is actually a combination of different special effects techniques, whether it was high-tech, low-tech, physical effect, or an optical effect. Just about every type of special effect known to man was used in making the hoverboards fly.
Oh, God!
Now, here's a letter from a Mr. Joey Farmer, which reads,
Dear Back to the Future, I'm a car salesman in a major metropolitan area, and I gotta say, the main reason I go and see them Back to the Future movies is to check out that DeLorean time vehicle. Boy, is that baby flat equipped. If you could give me a rundown of some of the features of this fine machine, I'd be much obliged.
Well, Mr. Farmer, the DeLorean has undergone a lot of changes throughout the 3 Back to the Future films. Now, the essentials, like the flux capacitor,
This is what makes time travel possible.
The time circuits and the destination keypad have always stayed the same. But for traveling forward to the future, Doc Brown took the DeLorean concept to new heights. Modified and futurized with a simple hover conversion from the year 2015, the DeLorean was able to defy gravity as well as the time barrier. But if you're traveling through time, you're going to encounter some different terrain. Whether you're crossing the high plains or riding the rails in the Old West, the DeLorean is the time machine of choice. Look out! In our next letter, Mrs. Virginia Shaw writes in,
Dear Back to the Future, those Back to the Future movies look like they'd be very hard for the actors, with all that running and chasing and getting hit all the time. Is it really as hard as it looks?
Well, Mrs. Shaw, it is true that one of the things the Back to the Future films are known for is the physical demands placed on the actors. Through it all, Michael J. Fox and director Robert Zemeckis have developed a philosophical attitude.
Bob and I have an expression that we used on the first movie, which is pain is temporary, film is forever. And, that's the way you got to look at it. You get hit in the head a couple of times to make a great film. It's kind of worth it. I love action, and I love to do stuff, I love it when I do something and, I can hear somebody go, I'm not going to let him do that, are they? And I'm like, hey, they can't stop me from doing it.
While co-star Tom Wilson liked the physical side of his role, he was glad when it was over.
Nice shot, Doc!
In a film that demands a lot of physicality, you just have to do it, I'm not a macho guy at all. I'm anything but, I don't like volunteer. Hey, Bob, let me do that one. The falling off the building thing, hey, that's mine. It's mine. Don't get a stuntman.
Yes! While all three Back to the Future movies are action-packed, the final part of the trilogy presented a new series of challenges for the actors.
Galloping at a breakneck speed on horseback, spinning a rope over your head, kicking the horse, saying, "Hia," There's something I never thought I would actually yell at a horse. Hia. I always thought, if I yell something at a horse, it will be like, easy, big fella. Something like that. Something like, whoa.
I don't know if part 3 was especially more physically demanding than part 2. It just seemed like there was something new every day. Just running and jumping and falling and being dragged. And then also a lot of stuff on the train, running along the tops of the train. It's fun. I really enjoy it.
Boom! Good one.
One more, Dan.
Shooting action sequences requires more than physical strength. Scenes must be carefully choreographed and rehearsed.
When it comes to a fight sequence, it takes a lot of time to set these things up because not only does it have to look exciting, but it has to be totally safe for the actors. Just don't come at him with the pain, come at him with the rage.
Right.
After you realize that he's hoodwinked you.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Action!
With the actors set, the scene was ready to be shot.
People just don't realize the glamour, the excitement of Hollywood. Kids, come on to California. Come, become actors. Do stuff like this. I hate manure.
Cut. Grant, one more, just like that. Beauty.
Well, this is me, Tom Wilson, bidding you a fond adios for now. Goodbye, everybody.
See, being an actor isn't always easy. You've got to be prepared for anything.
Are you Kirk Cameron?
Yeah, I got a letter for you. Thanks. Oh, great letter. It comes from a David Palmer who says,
Dear Back to the Future, I just watched the original Back to the Future on videotape for the 27th time, and I think I found a mistake.
27th time?
In the scene where Marty dresses up like a spaceman to scare his father in the 50s, I noticed a modern-day hairdryer attached to his belt. Now, I know Marty didn't bring a blowdryer with him, so how do you explain that one?
Well,
My name is Darth Vader.
here's the scene David was referring to. And yep, there's the hairdryer, all right. But it's no mistake. Here in this never-before-seen shot from Back to the Future, we find out where that hairdryer came from.
So, these are all my personal belongings, huh?
Yep.
What's this thing?
It's a hairdryer.
A hairdryer? But don't they have towels in the future? Look at these underpants. What's this? Suddenly the future's looking a whole lot better.
Our next letter comes from a Dr. D. Allen Burris, a history professor at a noted Ivy League university. It reads,
Dear Back to the Future, as an educator in the study of human history, I have come to the inalterable conclusion that history tends to repeat itself. Is my understanding correct?
Your conclusion couldn't be more correct, Professor. In fact, Marty McFly came to the same conclusion, the hard way.
Take a look and see what just breezed in the door.
Welcome to the Cafe 80s.
What'll it be, stranger?
Give me a Pepsi free.
Ice water?
Ice?
All I want is a Pepsi.
Fly! What do you think you're doing?
Jeff.
I thought I told you to stay in here.
He's Griff.
You ain't Seamus McFly.
You're Mad Dog Tannen.
Nobody calls me Mad Dog.
You better run, squirrel.
Whoa, kid, stop. Look.
Well, here's an interesting letter from a young girl who writes,
Dear Back to the Future, I haven't had a chance to see Back to the Future Part 3 yet, but somebody spilled the beans that Doc Brown falls in love in this movie. Doc Brown in love? Just what kind of a woman does it take to win Doc's heart?
well, obviously, the Doc wouldn't fall for just any woman. The love of Doc's life is a very special lady. And let's face it, very few relationships start out like this.
Emmett Brown at your service, miss.
I'm Clayton. Clara Clayton.
Mary Steenburgen plays a schoolteacher with whom the Doc falls madly in love.
She's a little bit eccentric, and her head's a little bit in the clouds. I mean, she's really interested in science and astronomy and telescopes and looking at the stars.
If you move it this way, the image turns fuzzy. See? But if you turn it the other way,
Everything becomes clear.
I think at the beginning of this story, Marty's very concerned about Clara as being a giant distraction for the Doc. And then he begins to see that his old friend has fallen in love, and this is astounding to him. The Doc in love. It's hard to believe.
What do you mean you're going to be seeing lots of her, Doc?
Well, I might see her again just in passing.
He and Doc kind of switch roles, and, Marty sort of becomes more of the adult, and Doc becomes the young man in love.
Evening. You look very nice.
Thank you.
She's quirky in her own ways, which makes her find Doc Brown attractive. She's got some independence. She's got some spunk. She's somebody that we hope the audience will want to see the Doc be in love with.
you know, I'm almost glad that snake spooked those horses, otherwise we might never have met. Suppose it was destiny.
When she meets the doc, it's like nothing ever made sense in her whole life until that moment.
You're quite welcome.
So it's pretty much instant in love, and they're sort of kindred spirits in a way. I think that they were both kind of misfits in whatever time they were in, but when they're together, everything makes sense.
I never met a woman who liked Jules Verne before.
I never ever met a man like you before.
So Doc finally falls in love. So in love that he's willing to alter time itself to be with her. But just what happens when you alter time? Well, that's exactly what high school student Willie Richter wants to know.
Dear Back to the Future, I've been reading a lot of books about time travel, and they keep mentioning the cause and effect theory of time travel. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. If we take a look at Biff's actions in Back to the Future Part 2, we have a prime example of this cause and effect theory. By stealing the DeLorean and traveling back to 1955, Biff was able to alter history. By bringing a sports almanac from the year 2015 back with him, Biff was able to give himself forbidden knowledge about the outcome of every major sporting event for the next 50 years.
All you gotta do is bet on the winner and you'll never lose.
And the result was catastrophic. Biff had succeeded in creating an alternate present, a nightmare come true. The Hill Valley Courthouse was now a casino. The town square had been transformed into a war zone. And in this scene that was eventually cut from the film, we see what became of Marty's high school.
This is nuts.
But just what happens to Biff when he returns to the future? Well, it's likely that his wife Lorraine shot him sometime in the mid-1990s. Because as we can see in this scene that was also cut from the film, Biff is literally erased from existence in the year 2015. And finally, a question lots of Back to the Future fans have been asking. This letter comes to us from a little boy who says,
Dear Back to the Future, I just saw Back to the Future Part 3, and my favorite part of it was the train stuff near the end. My question is, didn't they get into trouble for running that old train off a cliff?
Well, the answer is no. They didn't get into trouble for running that train off a cliff. But that's not to say it wasn't a lot of trouble to do.
Marty, are the time circuits on?
Check, Doc!
The Doc and Marty have a very simple problem. They have to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles an hour, and even though a steam train can't go that fast, the Doc, being a man of science, figures out a way to do it for a few seconds anyway.
Doc! The red line's about to blow!
Even though the train took quite a beating, there was a limit to what the filmmakers could do.
Obviously, it's impossible to take a real 100-year-old antique steam train and throw it off a cliff, so we went to Industrial Light and Magic and had them build a miniature one for us, and we threw that one off the cliff.
A team of special effects technicians painstakingly created a quarter-scale train.
It's as small as we could make it, as the model, and still retain, all the scale of this explosion in the surrounding area, everything to look right. It's a nice, beautiful, expensive model sitting down there. Gorgeous thing, the model makers love it, and we're about to take it and fling it off this trestle and smash it to pieces.
We've relieved the frame, the chassis, has strategic points that hopefully it'll crunch and bend just like it should. And it's all over in 2 seconds, and it was about a 2-month job to put it together.
The production crew used 6 cameras to capture every angle of the crash. And after one final safety check, everything was ready. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this inside peek at the Back to the Future trilogy. I know I have. But, you know, there still is one more Back to the Future secret that everybody seems to want to know the answer to.
Is there going to be a Back to the Future Part 4?
Well, it doesn't look likely, partner. But, you know, Back to the Future will live on in Back to the Future The Ride. It opens in November of 1990 at Universal Studios, Florida. I'm Kirk Cameron. Thanks again for joining me. And remember, the future is what you make of it.